This is one of the topics that we get a lot of questions on as to how I can put my logo or how I can link a particular file into an email template, and do a lot of other things that are a little bit more advanced, but really not that difficult once we go through some examples. So why don't we jump right into this webinar? So the first thing I want to do is jump into my demo ClassJuggler account. And the first thing we're going to do once we're in, which we're logged in here on our home base screen, is swing on over to our Tools menu, which is where we're going to find the Email Template Manager. So I've selected Tools, and I can either select this right here from the listing of tools, or over on the left side menu bar, Email Template Manager. And the Email Template Manager is where we go to manage all of our email templates that we've created and want to be able to reuse over and over again for any number of purposes. You don't have to go to the Tools menu to edit these or to use them. When you select Emailing Customers from the Customers menu, you also have the opportunity to edit and manage those templates right in line with that process as well. But since I'm just going to be working on the templates themselves and not sending them out via mass emails to classes or to groups of individuals for whatever purposes, we're just going to start from the Tools menu. So again, we want to talk about putting images into our email templates to make them much more rich and inviting to our customers. We also want to talk about doing links and kind of combinations of images and links. And I'll show you how to do all three of those. So let's talk about three different ways we can get images and such into an email template. So the first thing I want to do is just pull up a template. Here's a real common template that a lot of our clients have, a late payment reminder. And this is something you're going to use month to month just to remind those folks that may not have paid their balance off on time. I'm going to click on my edit action right next to this, to the selector for the templates. And that's going to put us into the editor mode. I'm going to widen this up just a little bit so I've got a little bit more room to work. A couple things about the editor. Obviously, each email template has a name so that we can identify it. It also has a subject line. This is what is going to appear in that recipient's email as the subject of that particular email they receive. We're going to do a real basic thing in this email template. We just want to add our company logo right at the top of the email. So I'm going to click into this. You can see where my cursor is set, and I just hit enter to create a blank line. So now I've got some space above my big title, Late Payment Reminder, and I want to put an image in there. Now there's three different ways where you can put images into an email template, and we're going to talk about all three of those today. The first is from the web. Basically anywhere where an image is stored on a website, in a directory on a website, we can access that and utilize it. As long as it's not behind a user ID or a password or in any secure location that requires authentication, we can use that image. That means you can pull images from your own website. Maybe you have a special folder set up on your website directories that where you've stored pictures, maybe images of classes being held, any number of things that you want to include in your email templates. So again, we just want to do a logo. So the first thing I need to do to start this process is find a logo I want to use. In this case, let's say we just wanted to use the ClassJuggler logo. Well, that's easy enough. I'm going to open up a new tab, and this is just a blank page now, and I'm going to go to the ClassJuggler homepage, basically, or one of our pages. This happens to be the sign-in page. And this is the logo I want right up here at the top. So how do I get that into my email template? Well, I don't copy and paste it, because then I'd be physically putting all the bits of data that make up that image into that email template and making it too large to send. So what I can do, though, is find out, where does this image actually live on the internet? And by live, I mean, what is its address? So as you know, each and every web page that you go to has an address, and we can see that up here at the top of the screen, or top of my window. www.classjuggler.com, and then we've got some slashes representing directories. So it's in a CJ directory, a priv directory, an auth directory, a signin.php. And that's the address of this web page that we're looking at right here. Well, every element on this page also has an address. And to find it, it's actually pretty easy. If I right-click this graphic, I get a nice little drop-down menu that has all sorts of different things I can do. Now, if you look down further, you can see Open Image in New Tab or Window. Let's do that. Let's open it in a new tab. And if I go to that tab I just opened, there's that graphical image. So I basically said, don't show me the whole page, just show me this image over the internet where it is. So here's that image, and up here is the address. And if I copy that address, let's just do this. I'm going to copy the whole thing here. Copy. Now I've got the address of where that image exists. Now let's go back to ClassJuggler into where we just left off in our email template manager. So now I've got that address location on my clipboard. There's some nice little icons for tools in our fancy editor here, and you'll see this one that I'm highlighting with my mouse, and when I highlight it, it says image, and it looks just like a little portrait with a sun and some mountains behind it. Now if I click on that, it's going to open a little dialog box which says, tell me about the image you want to paste into this email template. And it's asking for a URL. That's just short for the resource location of this particular item. And right here, I'm going to paste into that field that address of the graphic that we found on the internet. And now if I tab out, you'll even see a little sample of it here in the window. Now that's probably going to be too big, but let's just say OK and see what we got. Boom. There's our logo. So again, just a quick refresh on this. I went to a page where there was a graphic that I wanted on the internet, again on the web. I got the address of that item by right-clicking it and saying either copy image address or open it in a new window to where at the top of that window I can look at that full address of that file and where it's located on the internet. And then again, I copied that and brought that back to our fancy editor and pasted it in using the image tool on the upper right. Now this is obviously too big for our email template. I can again just select it, right click it, and now I get my little image properties drop down. And let's change the width of this to 250 pixels across. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this. And now that it's saved, we can see down here at the bottom of our window, the email template preview, the actual view of what this is going to look like. So that wasn't too bad. And again, you can do that with anything you want. Let's jump ahead and say, well, you know, at the bottom of our payment reminder, or maybe at the bottom of every email we send out, I want to have my Facebook link so that people can like our Facebook page. Well, that's pretty easy to do. I'm going to go ahead and click into my editor again, and right after this little salutation at the bottom, I hit enter to create a new space. And I did this prior to starting the webinar today, but I went out there and I searched on Google for Facebook icons. And you can do this for just about any type of image you can think of. So maybe I want to do YouTube icons. And when I search for that, there's just tons and tons of graphics out there that you can use for your own purposes, as long as they're not marked as private use or require a license to use. They're pretty much public domain for anyone to use. So let's go back to the Facebook icons. And I can just pick any one of these that looks good. I kind of like this one with the metallic effects around it. So I'm going to click on this. That's going to open it in another window here. And again, I'm going to right click that graphic. And in this case, I'm going to just tell it to copy the image address. Again, that's the address where that image is being stored somewhere in the internet. It could be anywhere in the world on any server. As long as I've got the address of it, I can reference it in my emails. Copy the image address. I go back to ClassJuggler. And I'm going to paste again another image. So I choose the image tool. It's going to say, where is it? I'm going to do my paste. And then I'm going to hit my tab key to tell it I've got it. And there's a sample of it. Again, that's too big. Let's make this kind of small. Let's make it only 50 pixels across. And boom, there's our Facebook icon. And again, I'll save my changes. Now I've got my logo at the top of the email and my Facebook at the bottom. Well, let's make this even fancier. I'm going to type right next to it and say, like us on Facebook. And let's select that text. Let's make it blue to kind of match the graphic. And let's make it a lot bigger. Let's make it like 22. That looks better. Oh, maybe not that big. Let's go to 16. And let's save our changes. Now the cool thing is, because this email is basically a web page, I can again select that graphic, in this case the F for the Facebook icon. I'm going to right click it, and I'm going to go into the image properties. So this is where we gave it the address on the internet where this thing lives. You're going to notice there's a link tab on the image properties panel. I'm going to click on that. And what that's going to do is allow us to say, if somebody clicks on that graphic in their email, it's going to take them via this link somewhere. So for example, let's say I'm this Facebook page. This is Joni's Gym and Dance Center. So this is their Facebook page. If we wanted this to be where our clients go when they click on the Facebook icon, all I have to do again is go up to the address bar, copy this entire address, copy, and let's go back to ClassJuggler, and I'm going to paste that in the URL, again the address, that's all that means. So now this has a location where this is going to go. I'm going to say OK. But now notice my mouse, when I move over this icon, it changes into a pointing finger, and you can even see down in the lower left corner of my web browser. See that little address that's popping up? That's telling me where I'm going to go if I were to click this image. So we've done two things so far. We've pasted a simple graphic for a header or a logo. We've posted another graphic and also linked it to where if it's clicked, it goes to another web page or somewhere else on the internet. We can even do things like just create text-based links. You'll notice this text here is highlighted, which says self-service system. Well, this is telling people, hey, if your payment was late, don't forget you can go to the ClassJuggler parent portal and make a payment online. And this is pretty neat. I can select any text I want in an email template and then go up to these little things that look like little chain links. And that means I want to create a link to another place on the internet. Now if I click that, it's going to say, where do you want this to go? Now you'll notice I already have text link in here, and it's saying go to this address. Again, URL means address on the web. And if we go down to the testing or the preview down in the lower pane of our email template manager, you'll see that same text. And again, when I move my little mouse over there, you can see that it wants to go somewhere if I were to click this in an email. So there's yet another easy way to connect things together. Now let's talk about if we wanted to put graphics in from somewhere else other than the internet. So there's a couple other places I want to show you about where we can do this. I'm going to go ahead and save my changes, and then we're going to go back to the template listing and pick something else. Let's do an example here. Let's see. I'm going to pick this email with a linked PDF file, and I'm going to edit this. Let's say we wanted to put a graphic at the bottom of this email of some summer flowers. But I've got this actually in my Dropbox folder. A lot of people use Dropbox. It's a really inexpensive or even a free service if you're only using a small amount of space. And it's very easy to get images that you store in your Dropbox into your email templates. And this is how you do it. So the first thing we want to do is actually pull up our Dropbox. So I'm going to go to Dropbox. This is in my Finder on my Mac. There'll be a similar way to do this on a PC, of course, just navigating your file system. And you'll notice there's a folder called Public. That's where you want to store these items, images, PDF files, short videos, documents, anything that you want to share with other people that you could link into a email template. You can then drop those into your public folder in Dropbox. So let's see what we've got in here. Got a picture of a frog. We've got a picture of a city. Parakeet playing chess. Summer flowers. There's our summer flowers. And this is really easy to do. Now that I've located the graphic I'm interested in, I'm going to just right-click it. I want to do Copy Public Link. That is the action for getting the link to this particular graphic that is stored in Dropbox. So if I copy that public link and then go back to ClassJuggler, again, use the image button to start creating a new image. Then it's going to say, where is that image? I'm going to paste. That was the location in Dropbox where that file lives. And when I tab out, sure enough, boom, now it's in my email template. Dropbox is one of the easiest places to do this just because you've got control over all those files and items and images and graphics and things that are in that folder, and you can keep it organized however you want, even using other subfolders within your Dropbox public folder. So that's how we would do it using Dropbox. There's actually another method for sharing images using things like iCloud. So if you're an Apple user, which many of you are, at least half of our clients are, I could go to my iCloud account. Here's my personal iCloud account. And I could go right into my iCloud Drive. And I've got a special folder set up here called Images. I'm going to go into that folder. And sure enough, here's a couple pictures. We've already used the summer flowers through our Dropbox. Let's choose the pensive parakeet. So what I did was I actually need to open this file. And again, like we did on finding the Facebook item just using a web page, I'm going to copy that address at the top of my screen, which represents the actual location where iCloud stores these images in my account. And I'll go back to ClassJuggler, and right next to this particular picture, I'm going to post another picture. Paste in my long address. I'm going to make this much smaller because it's quite huge, 300 pixels across. And I'm going to say OK, and there's our little parakeet image as well. I'm going to save our changes. So as you can see, as long as you've got these images, files, PDF files, Word documents, spreadsheets, anything that's stored in a publicly accessible place, like your Dropbox folder, your iCloud, any other open sharing service, you can easily share those images in your email templates. Now let's talk about one other topic which is particularly interesting, which would be how to do other types of things. It's nice to be able to post images and include graphics, put links in your email. A link could even link to again, a PDF file. Click here to download our 20-page catalog of summer programs, for example. Something that you may not have time to put up on your website, but it was already produced in your word processor. You turned it into a PDF, you put it in one of your shared folders or on your website, and then you just linked it into one of your email templates by selecting some text and using the little chain link icon to link that to that file's location. Let's go and create a brand new template. I want to show as kind of the last topic for today before we move on to questions. I'm going to add a new template. I'm going to call this August Newsletter. I'm going to show you just how easy it is to create actually a pretty sophisticated looking newsletter right in your ClassJuggler email templates. I'm going to go ahead and save this base template just so we've got this prepared. Now one thing I like to do is I like to use the table editor in our fancy designer here to create a newsletter format. So I'm going to click on Table. It's going to say, tell me how big you want this table to be. I'm going to say, let's just start out with 3 rows and 2 columns. And let's make it 700 across. And when I click OK, I get a table. And this looks just like when you're putting tables into a Word document. And now some cool things I can do, for example, let's say I want this to be the header. I want the next line to be topic number 1, and over in this cell it will be picture number 1. And then we'll have topic number 2, picture number 2. And I'm going to tab, which will, just like in Word, add another row. And I'm going to say this is going to be the footer with social media icons. I'm going to go ahead and save this. So what I've kind of done here is just given myself some help on how I want to lay this out. Now to start filling this in, it's pretty easy. Now in my header, I want to actually go all the way across. So I'm going to join these two cells. That's easy enough. I just select the first one, right-click it, go to my cells, and say Merge Cells. Now I've got my space for my header. Well, that's cool. Let's use the ClassJuggler logo again in there. Cool. I'm going to just copy its address back to our template manager. Get rid of the text that I put in there. I'm going to go to my picture icon, paste that in, make it a little bit smaller, 250 pixels should be fine. Then I'm going to center it. So again, I'm just using all these tools in here just like a word processor. Now on topic number 1, let's say I've got a whole bunch to say. Well, I don't want to type a bunch during this demo. So I've also gone to a cool website that generates Greek text. That's that jibbity jabber that you can use to just be a placeholder when you're designing something. So I'm going to copy that, go back in here, and paste in all that jibber jabber. Now for my picture, let's get a cool photo. Let's go to some gymnastics activities. So here I actually went to Google and I searched for images of gymnastics. And let's see here. I like this leaping gymnast here. It's a good size. Again, I'm just going to right-click it, say copy this image's address back to my email template manager. Make sure my cursor is in the cell I'm interested in pasting that image. And then I'm going to click on the image. Again, paste my copied address. Resize it. Let's make it maybe 200 high. Say OK. Boom. Same thing. Topic number 2. Go to my Greek text, grab some gibberish here and paste it in here. And we'll find another picture. Let's find another cool gymnast. Oh, this one's kind of neat. Let's copy that image address. Back to ClassJuggler. Click inside of our cell, start an image, paste, tab out, and this one's huge, so I'm going to make it much smaller. Oh, too small. I can always right-click it again and adjust those image properties. Let's make it 200 high. That's a little better, more in line with the other one. A bit different shape, I think. You can also click on this padlock, which will ensure that the image maintains its normal proportions, which I just didn't do before. There we go. Now everything's lining up nicely. And then across the bottom again, I'll probably join these two cells, merge, and here we can put in our social media icons. Now here's our Facebook icon, copy address, go back, paste that image in. Oh, forgot to resize it, no problem. Go in here, let's make this nice and tiny. Let's make it 40 pixels across. And then I could do the same thing with all my others. So maybe I've got a Twitter account. Let's look at Twitter icons. Oh, this one's nice. Actually, it looks almost like the one I chose with that metallic outline. So let's copy that address. Back to ClassJuggler, paste it right next to the other one. Maybe I'll add a space just by hitting my space bar. Image, paste, space. There's our Twitter, and I think we did 40 pixels. Just make all these nice and perfect sizes side by side, and then maybe we even put in our, thanks for being a great customer. Anything we want to say at the end of this. Let's make that italic and bold. Maybe pick a fancier font. I could also add some additional fanciness to this if I wanted to. And let's save this. Now in my final version, I may want to get rid of the lines around this just so everything looks nice and formatted. Well, that's easy to do. I just click anywhere in my table, say Table Properties, and say border size of 0. And now when I save that, when we look at the preview, you'll notice it's nice and clean. Everything's kind of floating out on its own. And this just took, what, 5 minutes for me to do? You could do a lot fancier things than what we've done in this demo and really create some amazing email templates using images either linked in from a website, your Dropbox, an iCloud account, or probably many other sharing accounts out there. Well, I hope everybody's learned something today in building email templates. Let's go ahead and open up this conference for any questions that anybody has.